guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard, coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. And today I've got a pretty fascinating macro comparison. Today we're going to compare the card indexes from Card Ladder, the card indexes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and then the basketball card index generally, with no regard for age or type of card or rookie card or vintage or ultra modern, jerseys, autos, just everything that's in the basketball card index with Card Ladder, which is a staggering, 14,676 different cards. And so I think I've chosen, again, forgive me for the Tim Duncan collectors, for my Damian Lillard collector friends, for my Giannis collector friends, for even the Doncic collectors out there, which it seems like 50% of the hobby is a Doncic collector. I think LeBron James, Kobe, and Jordan are probably the three most collected players in the hobby. Steph Curry guys may have an argument or whatever, but I think these three guys are probably the most collected players out there in the hobby. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I wanted to compare them all time to see which of these three players' cards were the best investment from the jump, which Card Ladder Pro allows me to do by using their comparison feature. And you can even compare general indexes of these players. Again, you got to remember, the index is just an aggregate. It's just a pool of constituent cards of these particular players. So you've got to leave a little bit of room for error. There is a possibility that some very important cards were not included. It's unlikely, because Card Ladder does a pretty good job of choosing the most important cards of each of these players, but it is possible that Jordan could be skewed more towards the high end rather than his low end stuff. But I think that there's a pretty damn large sample size of each one of these, and I've got it pulled up on the screen for you. This is the all-time rate of return going all the way back to 2004. All these guys were playing in 2004. Kobe Bryant's a 96 rookie. LeBron's a 2003 rookie. Jordan's a mid-80s rookie, certainly before 2004. Whether you want to call his rookie the star or you want to call it the Fleer, either way, Jordan's cards are included. So he's the oldest of these three cats. And then you've got the basketball card index also going back that far. So the one thing I do want to show you is, like I mentioned, the basketball card index right here is 14,676. That's a huge ass sample size. It's got Bol, it's got Tom Chambers, it's got John Stockton, it's got Reggie Miller, it's got Mitch Richmond, it's got Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. It's got anything and everything. And then the three player indexes all have quad digits, right? So over 1,071 different data points for LeBron, 1,036 different data points for Kobe, and then 1,742 data points for Jordan. I think we can all agree that's a pretty relevant, healthy, meaty sample size of data points to chase and to kind of tabulate and to aggregate to create these indexes. So it's not like there's only 12 Jordan cards out there or 37 Kobe cards where you could really have huge deviations from the truth, right? I think this is a pretty damn large sample size. And again, you know, we could make this 100,000 quite easy because there's that many different grades of different cards of LeBron and Kobe and Jordan out there, but 1,000's a pretty big sample size. So let's check it out. And this is the historical all-time, up to today, percentage return on the index. This is where the index has gone over the last 18, 19 years. This surprised me. LeBron is far, far, far and away the best rate of return. Again, don't shoot the messenger. I know you may be a collector. You may not care about any of these numbers. If you don't care about price valuation and appreciation or depreciation, or how a card price fluctuates with the market and whether that's abnormal or normal or expected, then this is definitely not the video for you. But most people out there are hybrids like me, where we're half collector, half investor, maybe 70% collector, 30% investor in my case. But these investment numbers do fascinate me, and it basically gives you nice insight into when is the right time or wrong time to buy and or sell certain players and certain cards of certain types. And that's kind of what this market's all about. So even if you're a collector, these kind of videos should help you. I mean, if you watch enough of them, because you're trying to grow your collection as large as possible, I would assume, or at least in as much quality as you can. There's no reason to piss money away. It's sometimes, the right time to buy certain cards of certain players hinges on what the rest of the market's doing. And so I don't think you can just kind of bury your head and say, I'm a collector, none of these numbers matter. They do, because, the more cards you can buy of the player that you collect that you're going to take to the grave, the better, right? And so it is interesting to me that LeBron's yield is plus 3,770%, and the next closest is the general basketball index, which has outperformed Kobe and Jordan. I find that extremely fascinating and interesting. Comment below if you have any thoughts on this. We're going to kind of slowly hyper-focus and narrow the focus of this a little bit less macro each time we're going to get down to like the last 3 months and then compare and see if anything changes. But the fact that LeBron's index is plus 3,770% is eye-popping and astonishing. That's 3 times the return for Kobe, or almost 3 times for Kobe, but 3x the return on Jordan cards. I found that very odd. And again, I should say this, I am a Jordan collector first. That is probably 75% of the value of my collection. And then I am a distant LeBron James collector second, along with Giannis, and then Shaq and Lillard, and then the rest is just, generally set collecting. And I've got other cards of other players, but Jordan makes up the predominance of my collection from a value perspective without any hesitation. It's not even close. And so I don't own any Kobe's. I just don't. I had to pick and choose, and I'm just, that's who I choose. He's not my guy. But I chose Kobe because I know how collectible his cards are. The era that he fit in was absolutely amazing. You get that taste of the 90s like we love so much as Jordan insert and parallel collectors, but you also get the chrome shiny stuff from the early 2000s all the way into 2012 Prism. I mean, Kobe, through the exquisite era, it's just Kobe's cards span an incredible era where you can almost get the best of both worlds and get a taste of the LeBron era and a taste of the Jordan era. So Kobe and Shaq are both kind of similar in that way. But LeBron outpaces basketball cards generally, Kobe and Jordan, by a massive, massive margin. Now, here's the deal. Let's look at the last 2 years. And this graph's not going to help too much, but here's LeBron way up here in the purple. Okay, so LeBron's purple, basketball is red, Kobe is blue, and Jordan is green. So it looks to me that in 2021, we know the market went bananas, right? First quarter 2021. All of the others indexes ran more than Jordan did upward. At least that's what it looks like for me. And it's hard to kind of tell because this is a massive graph with 19 years included. So it's just hard to tell. Let's look at the last 2 years. And this is where it's going to get even more interesting. LeBron still wins. Over the last 2 years, and I know everybody sees LeBron's cards crashing today, over the last 2 years, LeBron's cards are significantly outperforming Jordan, the basketball card index generally, and Kobe Bryant. Now, none of these are good, right? It's a red everywhere. It's a bloodbath. But look at Kobe cards over the last 2 years, down 60% almost. That's huge. That's 3 times as bad as basketball. And it is, what is that, 8 times 7? About 7 times as bad as LeBron. Here's what the chart looks like, and it's real easy to see. It goes back to right in the middle of the first quarter of 2021 when we were kind of establishing that peak of the hobby. As you can see, Jordan, basketball cards generally, and Kobe people started to pull back and say, oh, these might be worth too much. We might have overstepped it here. And they all started to come down a little bit from that quarter. But look what LeBron did post first quarter of 2021. For whatever reason, his cards continued to run immeasurably, like massively. They ran. And so here's what is this? This is March of 2021. That would be right around the end of that first quarter 2021 bubble. But look at LeBron cards. It went from 60,758 as the index aggregate. It got all the way as high as almost 75,000 on LeBron's index. So LeBron just kind of ignored that bubble and kind of pushed through it, whereas the other ones after that bubble kind of came down. Again, basketball cards generally, it dipped a little here in the red. That's the basketball cards generally. And then it actually did run up a little bit more to like mid 2021, early 2022. And now they've started to come down as well. That's over the last 2 years. It surprised me almost more that LeBron cards have outperformed Jordan and Kobe and basketball cards generally over the last 2 years. I say outperformed. I mean, they have not gotten kicked in the nuts as hard. That surprised me as well. So all-time LeBron wins. Last 2 years, LeBron wins. And this is not a LeBron pump fest. I'm not sitting here pumping LeBron. If I was ever going to pump anything, it would be Jordan cards. And do I buy LeBron cards? And am I in the process of buying LeBron cards? Sure, I am. But not nearly to the extent that I'm buying Michael Jordan cards. But it's interesting to go back and look at these macros. So let's tailor this in. Let's narrow the focus a little bit more. And let's go look at the last year. And this is where things start to change a little bit. So over the last year, the percentages get worse, right? So the change over the last year is worse than the change over the last 2 years for almost all of these guys. And Jordan performs the best, okay? And this is where the stability, the history, the iconicism, is that a word? Iconicism? I don't know. Iconiconitis of Michael Jordan really starts to, show its true colors. Jordan is, again, it's not fun to talk about any of your assets going down 27%, but in a market where Bitcoin and stocks and Beanie Babies and tricycles and vinyl records and, freaking flower vases and everything else has gone down, Jordan only going down 27%. Kobe is still getting destroyed, down 51%. Again, from an investor standpoint, if you're sitting on these Kobe's and God forbid you bought these in 2020 or 2021, I feel for you, but I think you need to weather the storm. If you believe in him, he is the third most collectible player out there, in my opinion. I know Steph's probably pushing that, and depending on what Steph does with the rest of his career, but I think, you can kind of ride this out. I'm not panicking that Jordan cards are down 27% over the last year. So I don't know why a true Kobe collector and a true Kobe investor would panic. Kobe's not performed poorly. God, rest his soul, rest in peace. Jordan's not performed poorly. Maybe he has as a GM because they're the worst team in the NBA and the worst franchise in the worst position. But LeBron is performing at an exceptional level, and his cards are down 47% over the last year. That is mind-boggling to me, and that speaks to the world economy. That speaks to alternative assets generally. That doesn't speak to the particular players that are involved. But it's interesting to look at the particular players involved. I think the LeBron drop of 47% over the last year has a lot more to do with this, where his card just ran more than all the others leading up to this precipitous drop that we're experiencing right now. And so he had further to drop. So that's part of at least my theory and the theory that I espouse regarding why LeBron's performing so well all time, so well with a 2-year window. But when you look at the 1-year window, LeBron looks the worst. The reason is he ran the most up, right? If he outperformed them leading up to the last year, then of course he's going to underperform in comparison to Jordan and Kobe and the basketball index in the last year because he was at a higher mountaintop, right? So that's my take on it. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on that other than what I just said, or if there's another reason. And again, don't throw out the LeBron hate or the Kobe hate or the Jordan hate. This is not a GOAT conversation. If it was, Kobe wouldn't be on this chart, right? This is a 3 most collectible basketball players conversation in comparison to the general basketball index conversation. Let's look at the last 6 months. So here we see Jordan winning, basketball and LeBron about the same, down 40%, and then Kobe lagging behind at 51. Let's look at the last 6 months. Again, still Jordan. Kobe in basketball now are about 31, 33%. Over the last 6 months, LeBron's down 43%. Look at that chart. These charts to the naked eye, if you kind of take a step back, and I'm 5 inches from my screen, look sort of flat. It's not perfect. It's not great. I can tell you if you said, are they up or down? I'd say, slightly down. And they are. 31, 33. It's hard to tell on such a large number, a large index, and a small graph over a certain amount of time. But clearly, LeBron's down significantly worse, right? So LeBron is still crashing down 44%. Jordan's at minus 18%. Let's look at the last 3 months. And we're dealing with a smaller time frame, so the percentages are naturally going to come down a little bit in that shorter time frame as well. But the Jordan, again, winning. So the past year, Jordan wins. The past 6 months, Jordan wins. The past 3 months, Jordan wins. Kobe is right there with Jordan. I think most of the damage to the Kobe cards were done in the 12 to 24 months ago period is what it looked like to me, where he was getting kicked in the nuts the worst. LeBron is still getting taken to the cleaners, down 40%, 12%, almost 12% worse than the general basketball index over the last 3 months. And there it is. It's undeniable. You can't not see it. It's right there. LeBron's the purple line at the top. He's getting destroyed. What about the last 1 month? LeBron's still down, but he started down here, and it's been steady ever since, right? So it's been steady since January 4th. I don't know what happened between January 3rd and January 4th, but the index got destroyed. So some huge card sold or something crazy happened to cause the value of the whole index of over 1,000 cards to fall that much. Something terrible happened on January 3rd, or January 4th. Let's just put it that way. But since then, steady Eddie, right? And so LeBron's still going to look down 14%, but is he really? Like if we started it from January 4th instead of January 2nd, he would look to me to be almost perfectly stable. 38,000 here, 38,000 here. So it's actually even, it's almost exactly flat. And then the other three look relatively flat as well. And again, remember, when you shorten the time frame that you're looking at, you're also going to shorten the percentages because there's less time for any deviation up or down. So your percentages are always going to be smaller, whether they're red or green over the last month than they would be over the last 6 months or a year, probably. There's just more time for things to change. And then let's look at the last 2 weeks, which is, I don't know how helpful that's going to be, but Kobe flat, basketball flat, LeBron down 0.34%, Jordan down 0.38%. So you can't really glean any useful information from 2 weeks. But this right here is what really shocked me the most. Plus 3,700% return on investment for LeBron since 2004. And then what also struck me as shocking is over the last 2 years, LeBron has massively outperformed Jordan, basketball cards generally, and really outperformed Kobe Bryant. That really shocked me. That seems like a big disparity. Again, this is not a Kobe hate fest. This is not a Jordan pump fest, or certainly not a LeBron pump fest. I'm buying LeBron and Jordan no matter what these charts say. I just think it's always interesting to look at these charts. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think explains some of these interesting disparities in the price, and how it looks like, you know, the stability, the dependability, and the historical track record of Jordan cards are finally starting to kick in a little bit, and investors out there may this time around, and myself included, my hands raised, investors this time around and collectors this time around may kind of gravitate towards a little bit more dependable stuff. It's almost like a stockbroker recommending, hey, let's buy some of these S&P 500 dividend yield stocks, right? Not so much the Teslas, not so much the the Facebooks and the techie stuff and the risky oil stuff. Let's kind of focus on some of these high dividend yield, predictable S&P 500 aristocrat type stocks that have been around for 50 years. We kind of know we're ready to jump on the back of the turtle rather than grab the ears of that hare, right? That's copyright Cajun Cardboard. That's a brilliant analogy. Rather than riding on the ears of the hare, let's jump on the back of that turtle shell and take our time and work our way slowly and steadily up into the right, rather than chasing trends and hoping to make $1 million overnight. Let's less Purdy and more Drew Brees. Less Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and more Jordan, different stuff like that. So I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a pullback on the amount of risk that people are willing to take. We're certainly seeing a pullback on the prices that people are willing to pay for cards, even for these absolute epic, iconic top 10 players like Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe. So that's my thoughts on what's going on in the hobby. I just thought it was an interesting comparison, and I figured this video might appeal to a lot of different people out there. And again, I could do this with Bol Bol and Lauri Markkanen and Dennis Smith Jr. and Basketball Card Index if we really wanted to. And that's the beauty of Card Ladder, right? Card Ladder doesn't pay me. I wish they did, but they don't. But Card Ladder is an invaluable tool if you're a math nerd like me, just learning some, looking to learn more about the hobby. And these indexes and the comparison of those indexes really kind of give you an insight. And then something else that's really cool, and I've talked about this before, and now I am hyping Card Ladder here because this is just a really cool thing. You can go compare cards. Well, let's do it this way. You can go over here on the left and click indexes. You can type in, of course, there you see, you got some green up here, right? We haven't seen this in a while. Wow, I've just noticed this. You got some green up here for some of the different indexes, some tennis, some baseball, hockey, culture. A lot of that's in the green. Basketball still getting hammered in the nuts down there at 7.68% down. But when you type in, let's type in players. Let's go to players. Let's type in Michael Jordan, for example. This is one tool that I use to find cards and to find cards that I think are recently undervalued. You can pull up the Michael Jordan index, generally speaking. You can look at the index. We just looked at the index. So you can go to 3 months. You can set it. You can do custom dates right here by clicking this button here. You can set whatever dates you want and look at what cards have done from A to B and pick whatever you want for A and B. But you can also go into cards. And then within cards, it gets even more fascinating because right here, this is going to show you what cards have gone up or down the most. Michael Jordan cards have gone up or down the most over the last year, right? So this is cool. You got behind the glass is number 1 and number 2 in 2 different grades. That's cool, I guess. I don't really understand that, but it's cool. And I think I've talked about that on another video that you're about to see. I think it actually releases today, Thursday, February 2nd. But here's another thing you can do. You can type in a grade. If you're a snob like me and you only want to look at PSA 10, boom, there's PSA 10. It shows you the best performing PSA 10 Michael Jordan cards over the last year. You don't want to know the last year. You want to know the last, 1 week? There you go. There's 1 week. You don't want to know that. You want to know, which Michael Jordan PSA 10 cards have the highest pop? There's your answer. And it's not a surprise. 1990 Fleer. You want to know which ones have the lowest pop? There's your answer. It's a 1984 Star. And it pulled a PSA 9 for some reason, but it's because it's got 101, which comes across as a 10 in the search engine. But it's a cut above PSA 10, owned by my good friend Josh Dawson at Northeast Sports Cards. That's the lowest pop Michael Jordan PSA 10 out there. He's tied for first, along with the platinum medallions. And you can kind of work your way through here and look at all of the different PSA 10 Jordans that have a pop 1. Some of them have a pop 2. Never even heard of this card. Upper Deck All-Star Weekend Gold PSA 10. Never heard of the card, right? And that's the beauty of it. I look at Michael Jordan cards any day, every day, all the time. Never seen that card in my life. You've got all kinds of cards. You can sort it by pop. We can go up here and we can sort it by the worst or the best. We can sort it by just the most valuable card in the world. Let's look at the most valuable PSA 10 Michael Jordan card in the world. That's probably not a good example. Let's take out PSA 10. There you go. They estimate that the green is 1.39. I think that's woefully short. I think that card would sell for way more than 1.387 million if that card got listed on an open market today. So I'm sure that card ladder value is tied to the Michael Jordan index generally, and that's why it says 1.3. There is no way that card's selling for 1.3 if it goes public today. But anyway, just wanted to give you guys a peek at some of the cool shit you can do on the card ladder index and the card ladder index comparison feature. So as always, I want your thoughts on LeBron, Jordan, Kobe. Which one's going to be the best long-term investment 10 years from now, right? Even old people like me are going to be around 10 years from now, God willing, please. But maybe over the next year, is it a time to buy LeBron after seeing this precipitous dip? Or are we still not recovered from the preposterous run that LeBron went on that we saw all the way even through 2021 to kind of third quarter 2021. Maybe it's time to continue to hold off on LeBron and wait to buy it. I don't know. Again, we're all guessing here. Anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen is full of crap. But it's fun to look at these charts because it kind of at least gives you an ability to guesstimate and at least get a little bit closer and at least have some support for why you think a particular player's cards are going to go up or down. So anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. Peace.